Okay, so this is a video for BJ who wants to take a piece of artwork and upload it to the Glowforge software to cut a circle and then engrave a design. And so she was having problems trying to figure out how to get both parts in, one part to cut and one part to engrave, and both parts were wanting to engrave. So this is what she sent me here, and you can see that this is a file type PNG, which is a bitmap file. And so if you put this into the Glowforge software, it's going to just try to engrave everything. So since I use Inkscape, for me the easiest way to do this would be to bring this up into Inkscape and get it into a vector format so that we can tell the Glowforge to cut the circle and engrave the design. So what I'm going to do, here's Inkscape opened, and I'm going to import that design, which is right here. I saved it into my downloads, so it's going to import this PNG file. And I will just use the defaults here. So there it is. Now in Inkscape, one of the things you need to get used to doing, a lot of the problems in Inkscape that people have is because they're not sure what they're looking at. But down here is I call it the info bar. I'm not sure what it's really called. But here, if I've got something selected, if I select this, then the info bar tells me that that is an image. If it says image down here, that means bitmap. So if it says path, then that's going to be a vector. So what we want to do is get this image into a vector format. So the way you do that is you go up to path, trace bitmap, okay, and then this menu should open. And for this, since it's a simple black and white file, we just want to do the trace bitmap single scan. We will use brightness cutoff, and we'll just use the default here. The brightness threshold is 0.45, and that will work fine for this. So we just say OK. All right, it doesn't look like it did anything, but it actually did. I close that window, and then if I click and drag, you can see it did do a trace, which is the one we want. Remember, if I click on this and look down here, that tells me it's an image. If I click on this one, it tells me that is a path. So the path is the one we want. Another thing you can do is if you go on the nodes, you see, this is the nodes tool right here, the second one down, that if I double click on this one, you can see that there are nodes. Those basically are telling your Glowforge plotter the directions that it's going to take, the cutting head. If I try to double click on this one, I don't get anything because that's just an image. It's not a vector path. So I'm just going to go back to the selection tool, select the image and delete it, and then we'll just continue working with this here. All right, so it sort of kind of traced the circle a little bit, but that is easy enough to do. We're just going to get rid of that part and draw the circle again. So what I will do is I'm just going to break everything apart by doing path, break apart. All right, now everything is broken apart into its individual shapes. Before I did that, everything was all together. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select, I'm holding down Shift and clicking on all these parts to select all of the black parts, and I'm going to combine them together, path, combine. Now those are all one thing, they come together. And then I'm just going to move that out of the way and select all of the rest of this and delete it. All right, so now we have our image that we want engraved, and if I was to upload this into Glowforge right now, it would just engrave that and it wouldn't cut around it or anything. It would just be engraved on a piece of wood or whatever you're wanting to engrave it on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a circle around it, and I've got my snap tools on over here. All of these are on, and so if I pull down a ruler, I just click on this ruler up here and pull it down, and that will snap right to the middle. This is just to give me a guideline. You wouldn't have to do this. You could just draw a circle and line it up by eye. Now I'm going to click on the circle tool, and I'm going to have it right there in the middle so it snaps, and hold down Control and Shift to make a perfect circle that comes out from the middle. And I'm just going to draw that circle where I want it to be. Now, I'm new to Glowforge too, and one of the things that I have noticed when I design something in Inkscape, if I have it with a fill, it comes into Glowforge as engrave. If I have it just as an outline, it comes in as cut. And so if you were to draw this in Inkscape and find that your circle has a fill like this, then if you import that into the Glowforge software, it will try to engrave that. You should be able to change it in the Glowforge software, but since you're in Inkscape and it's just as easy to go ahead and change this to an outline, I'll show you how to do that. So to make the inside of this transparent, I will come down here and click on the X in the palette. Okay, and now to make the stroke have a color, I hold down Shift and click on the color palette, and that gives me just a stroke. It's no fill. And then another way you can do this is you could do Control Shift F to open up the fill and stroke panel. And this is just another way to get to the same thing. I can give that a fill. Right now it's got no fill, but if I click on that, it gives it a fill. And then if I go up to the stroke tab, if I can give the stroke a different color. Okay, and then stroke style will let you determine how thick that line is. Glowforge is just going to see that as a cut line, so it doesn't matter if you make it super thick or super thin. Glowforge just sees it as a cut, whereas it'll see this as an engrave. So now I'm going to save this, Control Shift S, and I already have it saved here because I did it before, but I'll just resave it with that file name. It says that already exists. Do you want to replace it? Yes. And then I will go to the Glowforge website and I will tell it to upload. Click that thing that I just designed and it'll take it just a minute. Okay, so and then here it is, and you can see that it went ahead and uploaded the solid shape as an engrave and the cut and the stroke shape as a cut. So then of course you can change the size. So okay, I hope that helped. If you have any questions, let me know and I will try to answer.